What's up, guys? This is YourSwin. I'm bringing my first video here to you. I figured if I was going to start making these videos, we'd better start at square one, which is damage. How to cause it, how to defend against it, how to increase it, and how you can tell where all of your damage stats are coming from. So for this episode, we're going to be talking about, we're going to use Stitch for our example, for the simple reason that Stitch has a skill of each type of damage. Going into his skills tab, you can see on Plasma Blast, he causes normal damage with that, and that's signified by a fist. So anytime you see a fist logo outside of a skill, that means that that skill causes normal damage. If we scroll over to his green skill, you'll see that it causes fantastic damage, signified by 3 little stars. True damage is something that we'll discuss here a little bit later in the videos. True damage is signified by a broken shield with a crack in it. For now, let's go back to talking about normal and fantastic damages, because most of the characters in the game cause one or the other or both, whereas very few characters cause true damage. Your normal damage can be increased 2 ways. Normally, the normal damage of a skill can be increased by leveling the skill. Every time you obviously level the skill, you will increase the damage done. But as you notice, the number out front of damage is orange, meaning that this skill can be increased by increasing your basic damage. Now, normally, normal damage and basic damage go hand in hand. Whereas with your fantastic damage, you will see that the number out front is blue, and this is skill power. So fantastic damage and skill power pair in the same way. Now you may be asking yourself, Eurus, where did these stats come from? How do I know how much basic damage or skill power or any of those do I have? If you go into your stats tab and click on the bottom or the little white eye, you'll see detailed stats. Over here on the left side, you will see basic damage and skill power. Now, again, any skill that is signified by orange numbering in front of the damage counter will be increased by the amount of basic damage you have, as well as this boost will increase your general attacking. So any attacks that your character is doing that is not a skill, just the generic attacks your character does. Skill power is only related to blue skills, so the number out front of the damage is blue. Now, we're going to go, before we get off of this page, let's talk a little bit about armor and reality. On the right hand side, you will see other stats. The first two are HP and energy regen. These are the amounts of HP and energy that your character will gain at the end of a wave, if it is a multi-wave battle. But we're not going to be really focusing on those. The next two numbers are what we came to talk about: armor and reality. Armor is your natural defense against any kind of basic damage causing skill, whereas reality will defend against any kind of skill that does fantastic damage. So again, armor defends normal damage, the fists. Reality defends fantastic damage, the 3 stars. So, based on that, if you look, Stitch has just under 12,000 natural armor at this level, whereas he only has 6,000 reality. Stitch would do much better at surviving in a line that causes mostly normal damage skills for his natural resistance. Now, how can we get around those defenses? That is when true damage comes into play. True damage automatically negates any kind of armor or reality that a character has equipped to them and allows this hero to do damage without those numbers coming into play. Meaning that even if you have a character with really high reality, If this skill were to launch, Stitch would rip right through it with the... You can see the number is blue, so that would be his skill power. He can rip right through it with his skill power and cause damage without that reality bonus coming into play. The last kind of skill we're going to talk about before we get off skills and basics is level cap skills. If you can see underneath his purple skill, at the end of the first line, there is a green number. This number indicates the level at which the skill will either have a reduced effect or sometimes not even work at all. You can also see that the skill is maxed out for me, and it is at the same level as Stitch's currently, 125. The reason being, any skill with a level cap should be automatically the first one that you level up. Because like I said, if it is not on level, there's a chance that it will either have a reduced effect or no effect whatsoever. For instance, a slow may not slow the enemy, or may only slow them for half or a quarter of the time. In this case, Stitch gains 100 critical energy. If he damages an enemy above level 125, he may only get 90, 80, or less energy. Now, like I said, the first ones you always want to level up are your skill cap levels. Next, I would worry about skills that boost your survivability, heals, and natural shield and resistance spells. In this case, Stitch also has a healing spell. His blue skill allows him to steal HP from each target he hits. That being said, this would be the second one on Stitch that I would always level. He's been benched for me for a while, so obviously his skills are not maxed, neither is his level. All of that being said, let's go ahead and talk about how we can increase those basic stats even more. We're not going to use Stitch for this example. We will use Ducky and Bunny, because Ducky and Bunny have each of the 3 additional types that I'll be talking about. Next to Ducky and Bunny, under their detailed stats, you will see not only white stats, indicating their basic core stats, but also numbers in blue, green, and purple. Again, your core stats will be based on the rank of your hero, their level, their stars, and any badges that you have equipped to them. The light blue numbers indicate any enhancements that you've put on your badges. So let's use the example of 246 basic damage. Over under items, in the bottom right, you'll see the little one with the duck and the sailor hat. And you'll see after the 350, which is again white, added to his core stats, their core stats, you will see the blue number, plus 246. And that's of course because I have 2 out of 5 enhancements for that badge. Going back to detailed stats, you will see green numbers as well. Green stats come from friendship discs. On the top left, you will see in the corner basic damage plus 10,396. And again, in the stats page, this has been added to their basic damage. The purple numbers come from your mods. So you will see here that Ducky and Bunny have a 1,227 plus skill power, plus 12,000 and change in max HP. And those stats, again, are reflected in your detailed stats of this hero. So that is a quick explanation of what some of those colors mean and how you can find how much damage your character is going to do on a general basis. The last thing we're going to talk about is studies versus scares. For this example, we're going to be using Barbossa. Now, you'll notice that both his blue skill and his purple skill have a fist, indicating that he does normal damage with those skills. On the left-hand side, when we pull up his white skill, you will see that Barbossa pulls out his spyglass and studies all enemies in front of him. Enemies remain studied for 9 seconds. Barbossa also gains 400 attack speed for 6 seconds. Why we came, though, is to explain studies, which is explained in the next line. Attacks that do normal damage always crit against studied enemies. So that means any skill with a fist or your basic generic attacks will always do critical hits if an enemy is studied. Now, there's also a way to cause critical hits for fantastic damage. For this example, we will use Sully and Boo. Sully and Boo, underneath their skills, their white skill is Scaring is Caring. You will see that Sully roars, dealing an amount of damage to all enemies and scaring them for 12 seconds. Attacks that do fantastic damage always crit against scared enemies. So just like attacks that do normal damage always crit against studied enemies, attacks that do fantastic damage always crit against scared enemies. Pay close attention to any heroes that do scares or studies because they can help increase the damage of the rest of your team by allowing them to do critical hits, increasing the already insane damages boost that you might have equipped to those heroes. Now, with all of that being said, this is going to be the end of the first video. Again, this was just a basic introduction to damage. And how it comes, where the stats are, how to understand and navigate some of those tabs, figure out where your heroes are strong and where they're not, as well as adding in the scares, the studies. I do hope that everybody that was watching this learned a lot. I do plan on making tomorrow a video on free-to-play, how to be able to survive if you're not spending a lot of money. I'll be talking about Google Opinion Rewards and some other free ways to make diamonds, as well when you should spend them and when you should save them. And then in the future, I plan on making some team composition videos, adding some things to do with synergy, and as well telling you some of my favorite lines, figuring out how to play, make lines based around specific heroes. Now, all of that being said, I do hope you leave some comments and let me know what videos you would like to see in the future. Give me feedback because that's what I'm here for, is to help you guys learn about the game. And please subscribe so that you can see all of these videos in the future as I put them out. My goal is to put out at least once every weekend. So, thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.